that hot topic with Comixology. So curious to hear what you guys think of this new Comixology. Did it screw up your account? So curious about all that stuff. So I don't really use Comixology, but I do have stuff on there. So you'll get my thoughts in a little bit. So what do you use Comixology, Kat?
Honestly, not very often, unless it's a book that is really impossible to get at the store, or it's like a back issue, because that's sometimes harder to get because you're looking through the boxes, or if they don't have a trade. So like the most recent Comixology book I got was this book called Squad, and it's like a werewolf gay graphic novel, and it was like Lisa Sterl was drawing it. So I was like, oh, this looked cool, and I got it on Comixology because I didn't think my store would have it. But that's honestly the only time or if like one of the Terry Moore books don't come out on time, I'll use Comixology. But most of the time, I just like get my printed books. But I do have a lot of books on Comixology. Like that sucks, and we'll obviously talk about that and how that's going to affect the industry. It's going to be an interesting topic. So after the comics, we will discuss that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that in a little bit. Just want to say hi to all the people out there. We got Comics Are Fun. Facebook users on. Marcus Turner, Cage 17 is on there. Tevia is on. Guys, welcome to the show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So like I said, we're going to kick off with our comics first. I have a feeling that the flow will be pretty quick since it's just Kat and I for today. So let's kick off the first big book, and very curious what the viewers have to say about this first book here. And this is Iron Fist issue 1. So we get the revelation of who the new Iron Fist was. It was pretty much, it was already given to us already. Like a lot of people speculated that it was, Sword Master or whatnot. But what do you think?
I don't know much about. I don't know much about the character. I've never read anything with him. I didn't really love
Swordmaster, Agents of Atlas, and those types of books. And supposedly this main story that happened to him happened in one of the spin-off books from the Death of Doctor Strange, where he fell into the ocean and the sword broke and the shards went into his hands, and he basically died. And I guess the power wound up going to him, and now he's trying to be this new Iron Fist, but he can't quite control the chi because of what the sword shards are in his hands. It was a little bit of a sloppy book. Like I didn't mind it, but at the same time, it's like you got Danny Rand that's in there. He was the previous Iron Fist. Somehow they coincidentally meet up, and the new Iron Fist doesn't want anything to do with him. You would think he would want to learn from him, right? So that's why I found that a little bit odd.
Yeah, also, like, I feel like we didn't learn enough about the new character. I either wanted it to be Danny, be the full issue, or make it the Sword Master. I feel like the biggest problem of this issue is that they shared the spotlight. Usually that's great because then, Danny fans have something, and then the new character has something. But I felt like I knew nothing about the new character. I'm like, why should I care? Like, it felt like such a bland character because there was no space to make him a character, especially if you don't know much about his previous books, which I think a lot of people jumping into Iron Fist issue 1 don't know this character. So, I was disappointed with this one. I thought this would be a great jumping on point, but it honestly didn't give me a hook at all.
The only thing I can think of is that they're going to use Danny in the future based off of the cover that's there, they might use Danny where he might be like an apprentice or something like that. So,
which normally I think would work, but it's just, like I said, I don't think the character has enough personality just yet, or at least just give some time to enhance this character, give more of a backstory.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think I might try that second issue and see where it goes. Maybe get a few issues because I never really been into Iron Fist in the past. So I don't know. We'll see. So, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about Nightwing issue 89. So, Tevye, sorry, I got that mixed up. He goes, shouldn't Danny Rand be an actual master? Yeah, you're right. I got that messed up. The Sword Master should be the apprentice and Danny Rand should be the master. That's what I meant to say. Yes. And Parker Luxa Parker Luck, what's that? Matt Bird says, I haven't read Iron Fist comic. The last thing I remember most of Iron Fist was the Netflix series from 2 years ago. I actually liked that series. I did. I actually enjoyed it, where a lot of people didn't enjoy it.
I was very neutral on it. I mean, I definitely understand the concerns of it, and I am full throttle with those concerns. I think they are correct on that, and that's why we have now Asian hero being Iron Fist, which I think is great. But yeah, the show was just okay for me. I think like Jessica Jones and Daredevil and even Luke Cage was better, but it, I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was like a horrible show, but I understand the concerns of why people did dislike it because of that, and I understand that fully for sure.
Gotcha. All right, so let's move on now. Let's talk about Nightwing. This is issue 89. So we have the crossover going on with Nightwing and Dick and John. And I personally was not a huge fan of this book because I just felt like Tom Taylor's like, all right, well, I'm writing Superboy or Superman now. And I'm like, I need Nightwing to cross over and have them team up. And I'm starting to get this vibe that Nightwing is starting to become this team up book. And now it's starting to forget about the main story that we were introduced from the very start. And so I was actually disappointed by this book. And I don't know. This is not the story that I wanted from this particular issue.
I had a fun time with it, but I do agree, and that's been one of my biggest concerns in these previous issues. It's not even just the team up aspect, but the aspect that it doesn't seem like there's much of a plot going on anymore. It just feels like it's a very character driven story, which I like, but I do want something to propel the story. Like we have this whole heart story. We have his sister that we have not seen in a very long time. There's the mark on Dick Grayson's head. There's a lot going on that's just not progressed. There's just not really a plot in this book. And mostly I don't mind, but now it really is in the forefront. I'm like, okay, now we just have a team up book. So like,
exactly.
I'm curious about that. I like the issue though, because I think this was honestly stronger than what we've been getting in Superman in these past couple of issues.
But this is Nightwing, so obviously
exactly right.
Stronger. Yeah.
But it's the same writer, but maybe it's the art. I think the art was really good for this one. I enjoyed it. I actually had a really good time with this issue, but I am concerned for the future of the series. If it continues to be this, will it lose momentum? So I am a little worried about that.
I definitely think so. I think we were introduced to a great story in the beginning. I have no problem with Dick teaming up with Barb, Barbara Gordon and, the other Bat family. Like that kind of makes sense, right? But then it's like, okay, then we went to Fear State and we got away from the main story. And now we came back for one issue where we ran across the buildings to capture the people that took his dog away. And then it's like, then we got the one issue with Heartless back, right? And you thought we were getting back on track. And then all of a sudden it takes this turn to Superboy. And now it's obviously it's going to cross over to Son of Kal-El. And then the next issue, I think he's teaming up with the Flash. So it's like,
and they just teamed up with the Teen Titans from the last issue.
Exactly. But at least the Teen Titans dealt with the main story, like of what was going on. So I didn't have an issue with that. As long as you're dealing with the main story, I really don't. But when you have nothing to do with the main story and you took such a long hiatus because of Fear State, then that's when the book suffers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still loving this book, and I'm curious to see where it goes, but I definitely see where you're coming from with the criticisms, and I have the same criticisms even before this issue. So we'll see. But the art was fantastic for this issue. And even like I did like Dick and John's interaction. I thought their chemistry was really good.
Yeah. All right. So this was Brant and I's book that we were going to discuss today. And this was G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, the Saturday Morning Adventures. This was issue 1. This book was really a lot of fun. If you're a G.I. Joe fan and you used to watch this on TV on Saturday mornings or watched it in the reruns after school, this just hit all those buttons, man. You're just like, wow, everything about this book reminded you of that show. It was just one of those comics where you could read, have fun, don't overanalyze everything. The plot was very basic, but it just brought you back home to when you were like 10 years old, man. I loved it. I enjoyed everything about it. Even the artwork looked exactly like the cartoon. So much fun. If you're a G.I. Joe fan, grew up in the 80s, guys, this is definitely worth a pick up. So hopefully Brant liked this one as well. I'll be picking up the second issue.
It's not in his top 5, but I'm curious if he had a chance to read it or not. I guess he did because he marked it down. So next time we talk to him, we'll have to see.
Yep. All right. So next we have what would be our number 5. So Kat, what was your number 5?
First, I'm going to name Brant. So Brant's was Power Rangers. That's his number 5. My number 5 was Leaf Thor. But let me just make sure. It was Thor issue 22. This has just been such a fantastic book. I feel like I have not disliked a Thor issue since that first arc when I dropped it and then picked it up again. I really like this one. We get to see the character who actually sacrifices himself, and that's going to lead into the bigger milestone Thor issues, Odin. And what I liked about that is maybe he's not the most surprising character, but I love the build up. I thought they did a fantastic job at showcasing their relationship, and it makes you feel for a death. And I feel like in comics, I have not felt for a death in a really long time. So I thought they did a good job at that.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great build up, and I did not see the end coming. Even though like he was severely hurt, I was like, oh, there's no way they're going to kill him off, right? And then I saw the similarities between King and Black in this, because didn't Eddie Brock power up to like Super Saiyan level at the end before he defeated Null? And now Thor is powering up to do the same thing.
Do you like that though? Do you like that he's like Donny Cates is like repeating stories for every character that he's doing? Because Hulk is doing the Null thing, so that's you know
what? As long as there's somewhat of enough of a change, I don't have a problem with that. Because how many times do we see superhero comics where characters repeat and do the same things over again? Like it happens all the time, right?
I don't mind it for Thor because it felt really the story feels different from
it does.
Venom.
Yep.
Hulk, which we will talk about, and I know it seems like you enjoyed. I do feel like it's the same story, and I'm like, oh no.
You feel like it's the same as a Null story?
I think because of the villain we're gonna get, it seems a little bit too similar. I don't think Venom dealt with it in a similar way. Like Hulk's like vibe and his like thing in his head is really different. But also I haven't been enjoying that aspect. Like I think it's really hard to get into the book so far because it feels like it's like 50 issues in. I know we're talking about Hulk now somehow, but I've been having a really hard time getting into that book.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So and my number book was a book we already talked about as well, which was Iron Fist. And it was kind of a little bit of a default for me because I was excited for Nightwing and I was disappointed by Nightwing. And I was hoping that Nightwing would take that spot, but it didn't. So I was a little bit upset about that.
I will mention that Brant said that in the chat that Iron Fist was actually his number 6. So I think you guys had a similar placement for that.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, let's check out some of these comments before we move on. Let's see, what do we got here? Bavarian joins the show. She says, hi, welcome to the show. The Geekstrosity says, didn't even know about the new G.I. Joe. Thanks, picking it up ASAP. So that's pretty cool. And Tevi is making a comment about the Nightwing comic. He goes like, where's the plot with Mayor Zuko and Blockbuster? Exactly. That's what we were actually talking about. So hopefully they do get that back on track, right? And Comics Are Fun said, too bad IDW lost the rights. Yeah, too bad they did. And enjoy it while you can, because it's going to be a while, I think, before Image actually puts out a story there with G.I. Joe and Transformers. It's probably going to be at least a year. That's my guess.
I would think so. They need a creative team and all that. So, I think it's going to take a little while.
Absolutely. All right. So let's move on now. Let's talk about, I think is a big book this week, and this is Amazing Spider-Man issue 89.
Finally, it's a good book.
It
Finally.
it's been amping up, and I felt
Yeah.
like this book out of all of them so far, issue 89 was the best, right? We get Parker back. He earns the spider suit back once again by saving Black Cat from her ultimate demise, because Queen Goblin uses the Goblin Gaze to get out the most negative thoughts of somebody and then has them commit suicide. I thought that was a pretty interesting power from her, and I love seeing that aspect. And I just love all the interactions between the characters in this book. Peter, MJ, Black Cat, Mark Bagley artwork, like everything hit so many notes on this book. And I love this one. This one was so good, man. I think Patrick Gleason wrote this one too.
He did, yeah. I feel like it progressed the plot really well. I actually really do like Queen Goblin as a villain. I was so hesitant about her, and I'm like, no, she's different. She's cool. I like her vibe, like her look, but then also like what she means, I think is really cool, and her power is interesting. So I like her, but yeah, the Mary Jane Black Cat Peter unlikely dynamic made this issue, because you got that build up from the Beyond one shot, and then you finally get to see it here. Mary Jane's no damsel in this. She actually is the one who like helps Black Cat after she gets hurt, and Peter's the one to say, "Oh, MJ, you help her out." And then obviously Peter struggling, but also being Spider-Man again as a Peter Parker fan. It's like, finally, Amazing Spider-Man's about Spider-Man. As much as I like Ben Reilly, I feel like that's the thing that really weighed this book down, because they didn't know what to do with Ben. So anytime Peter. Yeah.
He's not in this book at all.
And that's why I felt like it was better. I feel like anytime they focused on Peter, this honestly was always a good book. Even when it was just him in the hospital. It's just always when they focused on Ben, it wasn't as interesting.
Right. Well, now that they mess with his memories, maybe now it will make him more of an interesting character going forward, you know?
They definitely are making him more interesting. And we didn't even talk about the cliffhanger with the girlfriend. Seems like there's going to be some owing there, because she kind of helped Spidey there. So helped Peter.
James Phelps says your favorite characters are like your favorite sports team. You ride with them when they suck, and every once in a while they get in the playoffs, and sometimes they win the whole league.
That's true. I don't know if they won the league yet. They're not winning. Spider-Man hasn't won the Super Bowl yet, but I'm excited for them to get there.
That's a great analogy right there, because that's like with me for the Dolphins. Like, I'm in there from the thick and the thin, and it's been a lot of down for them as of late. So hopefully things start to turn around. But the cliffhanger was interesting. Like, something is truly wrong with Ben if she winds up freeing Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, I think that was really interesting. So, and that's why I felt like this is such a well-rounded issue. Like you said, it was Mark Bagley artwork, so it was like had this classic look, but there was a lot of moving parts. It wasn't just one thing, and I thought every single element finally was interesting, because again, I think the last issue that we really enjoyed, it was half Peter, half Ben, and we're like, oh yeah, the Peter stuff were great, the Ben stuff was okay, or like the ending was great, but the beginning was just okay. And this issue, finally, I'm like, everything was great, and I loved it, and it's just like, this is what I want Spider-Man to be.
It's good. It's like maybe we're heading in the right direction now as we're getting closer to the new volume. I know like the last one is issue 93, I think is the last one.
Yeah, so, it's March, I think it's ending. So like sooner and later, it felt like such a long time from now, but these weeks are going by so quickly.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So that's cool. So I'm glad you liked it. The next book Brant and I read, it's Detective Comics issue 1053. I won't get too much into that. It's just the continuation of the Arkham Tower, which is being obviously they're doing an investigation trying to find out what's going on in this tower. At the end of the last issue, the cliffhanger was pretty cool. Just a reminder, guys, we've already said it. You should know by now, there are spoilers, but we see Nightwing come face to face with Psycho Pirate, and Psycho Pirate's getting the upper hand at the end of the last issue. Very cliche type of ending, but still, you know, if you've been reading it, you're gonna like it. So yeah, it was pretty good. I had a good time with it. Next, we're gonna talk about Rain, issue 2. Kat, I didn't like this issue as much. Not
I
nearly
didn't
as
like this
strong.
issue as much as issue 1 as well, sadly. I still liked it though. I still liked the journey. And honestly, I felt like it was very Walking Dead because you have like these new, like that character, that new character that popped up especially is like, oh, they
Yeah,
kind of had a Walking Dead vibe. But
the
it's like, oh, you're
MMA
just
guy.
meeting,
Yeah,
yeah, because you're
yeah.
meeting like all these new people along the way. So I like that, but I definitely liked issue 1 more. I still
Oh,
like this issue, but issue 1 was like above and beyond.
yeah. Issue 1 just was a whole other bar for me. This issue just, it was just real slow. I didn't like how they came across these weird
The
religious
priest people, yeah,
people,
that
right?
was interesting is the
It
word.
just seemed really quick that she's coming across all these people, like, you know what I'm saying? And then like the MMA guy's like, dude, my cat, like find my cat, bro. And then like he takes cover and right away he finds her again, and then they do. It was just weird, you know. Now, hopefully the journey will be better. And then they got the kid with them too, because the kid wound up leaving home as
Yeah.
well.
That was a
That was the
great
cliffhanger.
cliffhanger page. That was like a good I love the visual of that. Like the little umbrella was cool. Like those moments I enjoyed. I still love the inner monologue. I'm interested to see her find her girlfriend's dad. I'm curious to see what that's going to be all about and what
Yeah.
that's going to lead her to.
Yeah, and that's the whole journey, though.
Yeah.
So we
So
got
that should be interesting.
the bronze page says, "Hey guys, I feel like it's the '90s again with these new Marvel titles like She-Hulk, Punisher, Ghost Rider, but I'm liking it. That's too, and don't forget you got Venom, Lethal Protector getting ready to come out, and
Ben Riley.
Ben Riley, yeah. So, and I think that's kind of cool because you also got the X-Men Legends book. Because it's like, if you don't like what current Marvel is doing, right, then why not read these throwback stories, right? Or if you've never read that type of Marvel in the past, go back and read that now, So I think it's kind of cool. It gives people more options, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's something that Marvel's been doing good. I do hope, and one thing I wish is that there hasn't been a run yet that I feel like has been in like an Immortal Hulk or a Hawkeye where it's like, ooh, this is like indie, but like this is like such a stamp. But maybe we do have Thor. I think that's kind of been a stamp right now, but I want like a Saga level stamp for Marvel. I want like a new issue 1 that kind of blows us out of the water. I don't feel like we have had that in a while. Like there's like She-Hulk, like we all love She-Hulk, and I think it's a great book, but it's not, I feel like, a book that every single person is gonna be like, did you read She-Hulk issue 1? Which I hope it is, because I think it's a great book. But
It's
yeah, I
gonna
want
have
to
to
see
be
like an Immortal Hulk.
it's gonna have to be a book like that's got stakes, like
Yeah,
something
oh,
really at
100%.
stake.
I don't know
Um,
what that is, but I wish Marvel would do more of that. I feel like that's what I've
right.
kind of missed. I mean, I missed that from DC too, because I'm not saying they're perfect. I don't think anyone is perfect right now, but yeah, I want that. I want to run where it's like, whoa, I
Oh
can't wait
yeah,
for that next issue. Like
absolutely.
a
Pave the way.
Venom or yeah, like something like that. Even though I didn't read all of Donny Cates' Venom, that was a book where every week it came out, you're like, ooh, what's gonna happen in Donny
Oh
Cates' Venom
yeah.
this week?
Yeah, that's why I'm so disappointed with the Venom series that's going on right now, boy. Holy
No.
crap. Um anyway, I want to thanks all everybody out there that's watching the show right now. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
thank you.
guys. We're going through the comics first before we dive into the main topic about Comixology. So we have not talked about that yet. So hopefully you're enjoying the comic talk. If you haven't yet, please give this video a thumbs up. Let others know that this video exists out there. And let's continue our talk. So let's move on to number 4. Kat, what was your number 4?
Mine was Rain issue 2, so it did go down the ranking a little bit, but I'm glad it still made my top 5.
All right. Mine was actually G.I. Joe, so we did talk about that already as well. Haven't talked about that many books, but we've already talked about them, or they're on our countdowns. This is hilarious.
We
All
do have a
right.
couple of comments here before we jump
Yeah.
in, but new type JB Lee says, speaking of MJ, do you miss her family? So like the aunt, the dad, her sister, because they were an important part of MJ, especially during the marriage. I mean, I love MJ having supporting characters, but I think she does already. Like before, like this year when she had her own series, it was Mysterio. Now it seems like it's Black Cat. So I mean, she still's got supporting characters. I just don't
Dude,
think it's her family.
I honestly would love a Black Cat Mary Jane ongoing. That would be freaking sweet. And
I think they could do it. I
it
think
would
the
have
numbers
to,
prove it.
it has to be Jed McKay though. It has
Yeah.
to
Oh
be
yeah.
Jed McKay. So that would be great.
We also have one more comment I want to read. Tevye says, "What about Philip Kennedy Johnson's Action Comics?" Which I think he was talking about, like runs that are memorable. Maybe we just are in our own bubble here, but and we don't read Action Comics. But I don't think anyone's really talking about. That's not a book that everyone's like, "Oh, did you read Action Comics?"
I've heard that people are enjoying it, and
but is it an Immortal Hulk level enjoyment? I think it's like, oh, it's like a She-Hulk enjoyment where it's like that's a good book.
I mean, I think it's good because it doesn't take place throughout any of the other part of the DC universe. I read a couple issues of it. I just feel too far removed to understand really what's going on in it. But it's Superman. He's off world. I guess he's trying to save some like slaves from Mongols holding him captive. It's almost like Planet Hulk in a way, where he's got to fight against other people and stuff. So
it's like attached to the future.
I would have to read that maybe in trade or something like that. So
didn't seem like my thing. Too much space for me.
All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about the Fantastic Four issue 40. I'm not really digging this. I mean,
me either.
It's too much. I don't know if it's meant to be written that way on purpose so you feel what Reed Richards is feeling with him having the Watcher's mind. Maybe it's supposed to meant to be purposely written that way where it fills you with so much information it's overloading your brain. That's the only reason why I think that it's written the way it is.
I thought, because I forgave the Reckoning War a little bit because, like, okay, they had to explain a lot. Fine. But then this issue, I was like, oh, finally Fantastic Four is out. They're going to slow things down and get into the emotions. And then they hit you with, oh, yeah, Mr. Fantastic's going to die. I'm like, whoa, this is so much, like you said, it's so much information.
Right.
And I couldn't get into it. I thought it was so crowded. And I'm like, this is not the Fantastic Four I've been enjoying. This is just like too much.
And how many times did Sewer's like, Reed, this is not you. Reed, this is not you. Like, obviously, stupid, because he has the mind of the Watcher right now. Like, come on. Like, he's not right. I don't know.
Those emotions and the character work did not hit as well as it usually does.
Yeah. They're just trying to just jam too much in here. Like, and there wasn't even really a war going on. It was just him barking orders to this person and that person and this portion. And then it's so easy. They're like, the moon is blown up. Oh, well, we can just fix the moon. We'll just build a new one. Like, come on, dude. Like, it's just so weird, Oh,
also, I forgot to mention Brandt's number 4. I just saw that. His number 4 is also Rain issue 2. So same as mine.
Okay. Cool. All right. So Fantastic Four, definitely not a good read this week. Power Rangers is issue 16. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, real quick. It's the end of the Eltarian War. I thought Ryan did a good job with it. My favorite part was probably the alien girlfriend of Skull actually revealing herself to be an alien. There's some good character beats between like Trini and Lord Dragon. But yeah, it was a solid ending to this war, and I'm excited to see the next chapter of Power Rangers.
Cool. Jonathan joins the show, says, hey guys, happily finally see the show live. Awesome. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
I know a lot of you guys watch it post live because we do this show so late at night. It's like a late show for you guys, and a lot of people watch it post. So thank you for staying up tonight. All right. So let's see. That was Power Rangers Fantastic Four. Now we talk about our number 3. So Kat, what was your number 3?
Mine was Crowded Volume 3. It's the last story arc for the Crowded book. I'm glad they wrapped it up. I wish they could have done it in single issues, but we've talked about in the past is torrenting kind of destroyed the sales for that book, and it was proven like that a lot of people torrented that book, and that's why at least again it was finished, but that's why they had to do it through the graphic novel, and it took a while for them to release it, but we finally found out who was behind that Reaper campaign. It was Charlie herself. She did it by accident. So that was fun. And then Charlie and Vita, the two girls, they didn't end up together in the end. And I thought that was actually an interesting twist. So I thought it was a good ending, good final act to a book that I thought was really solid. So now you can finish it all up, pick it up. It's only 3 volumes. So it's an easy binge read. It's a good commentary on social media, and it's a fun action comedy book, which you also don't get to see as many comedy books in comics these days. So if you enjoy that aspect, go check it out. Also, Brant's number 3 was Fantastic Four. So in disagreements with both of us.
Oh, I wish I would have that conversation with him.
Yeah.
You know, unless his logic was the same logic as I was, about it being purposely written that way. I'm very curious to see why he liked it so much.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Hopefully Lisa will let us know in the chat, and we'll let you guys know next week. We do have a, I guess, comment from New Type. Speaking of marriages, Spider-Man, would you like to see Flash Thompson and Betty Brant married because they deserve happiness and also never liked Ned Leeds? I agree, but I don't think they were really happy together. I think that was kind of the point. Like he was in a bad place, she was in a bad place. Not saying that Betty and Ned are great, but yeah, I don't know if they loved each other, but
Yeah,
I think there was
it was a convenience.
bad things that happened. Yeah, exactly. It's the convenience. I don't think it'd be healthy for them.
Hey, you want to hook up? Yeah.
You want to now get married?
Let's go.
Let's elope. That would be their marriage. Is that
go
they
to
would
Vegas?
Eloping. Yeah, sure. Why not? And then Ned gets left in the dust, which Ned is alive, and they still haven't done much with that since that revelation. Or Betty. I miss Betty.
Yeah. When was that?
That was Nick Spencer's.
That was Nick Spencer, right?
Yeah.
During towards the end of that. It's like, oh, he's gone. And it's like, oh, he's back, but now he's gone again.
And then Tevye asks, did Betty get pregnant with Ned's kid? Isn't he a clone? I mean, even though he's a clone, I think he can still have children.
Yeah, man. He's a clone. He could do everything else any other normal person could do. He just might melt sooner or something. No.
He might die, but he could have kids. All right, go on.
All right. So let's see. My number 3 was actually Thor issue 22. So we talked about that. Really great book, great run. So curious to see. There's one more part to this story. So now I really want to see what happens with Thor after this story arc. Some of these story arcs have been really intense, but
not prolonged. They've been like really well paced.
Absolutely. All right. So we're moving right along here, and we're talking about our number 2. We're diving right into it because we talked about these books already. Kat, what was your number 2?
Mine was Nightwing, issue 89.
Okay. Gotcha.
Oh, and also Brant's was Amazing Spider-Man.
Gotcha. Okay. My number 2 was actually Hulk, issue 4.
Well, we were starting to talk about it.
Yep. So I like this book because, yes, even though it's like this different type of Hulk, it's, the way the Hulk is run or whatnot. In some ways, it's what Hulk is also. It's like, it's a new spin on Hulk, but it's the same. This book doesn't have a lot of in-depth story, right? It's a lot of fighting. It's a lot of Hulk smash. And I like that. The last story was so in-depth that you had to like reread an issue at times, like 2-3 times to get everything that was going on. And
definitely different.
That's Al Ewing, right? So, and then here you got Cates. So where it's like, okay, I got Ryan Ottley, who is probably one of the most gruesome illustrators in comics, where he can do all kinds of great fight scenes and gory details because he saw what he could do in Invincible. And what better way to put that type of artist in a Hulk book? Because you can do all that stuff because Hulk is a monster. And you got to see a little bit of that because you wind up getting to see Cyclops' head being taken off, and you wind up getting to see all these crazy like action scenes. And so I appreciate what Ryan Ottley is doing in this book. Now, I feel like this book itself, when it comes to the story, is not as in-depth as previous
But
stories
it's
that
also
Donny Cates is
convoluted
writing,
at
you
the
know?
same time because it feels like it's not in depth, but it's also trying to be really in depth because, like, oh, he's in his head and he's like, look at all these things happening and look what stories happening here. It's like so much going on, but like you said, there's also like nothing really going on.
See, like, I don't need, like, I understand it. Like, I totally get it. Like, the freaking, it's just a different way of looking at Hulk. Like, you saw Hulk as like Joe Fix-It, and you saw Joe. It's just another version of Hulk, right? That's all it is. And it's just, you're just seeing him in his brain. That's all he is. You're just seeing Banner as like he's piloting a starship, but that's not really him inside of it. It's just, you're seeing it just as a visual. So yeah, it's kind of trying to be creative, but it's very simplistic story in very many ways at the same time. It's like, hey, let me Thunderbolt Ross as the president of the United States were a freaking, superpower of weapons. And we're going to try to stop the Hulk and capture Bruce Banner. And then they released this big ass, scary Peter Parker Hulk Spider-Man thing at the end of the issue. And I was like, I want to see that. I want to see that fight. This thing is like 200 stories tall and Hulk is like 10 stories tall, and it's just like, I think it's going to be fun. I'm just curious where the long haul is in all of this.
My plan is to stick with it until after the Thor crossover, which is actually a while. Like, we have this thing, we have the big event, and then we're also getting this like big story between him and Thor. So I want to see what that's about, and then I'll make my decision if I want to keep it, which I want to, because I like the Hulk and I like Donny Cates. And I know with Donny Cates, sometimes he starts slow and then he can blow your mind. Like, Thor is a great example.
Yeah.
As you guys know, I really disliked the first arc of Thor. I dropped the book until I found out Jane Foster was coming back. I was like, oh, let me read this.
That's
I'm like,
what got
no,
you
this
back
has gone
into
good.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Donald Blake arc was just so freaking good. And I'm like, yeah,
so
let me continue this. And it has not stopped since then. So I was like, oh, I really like this. So, and Jane's not in the book anymore, and I still like Thor. It's not just because of Jane, but that's what at least got me back into it. So I'm hoping this is just a first arc, and like you said, we'll find out what the bigger plot will be.
Right. We got Brant here.
Oh, sorry.
It says my top 5 is the result of COVID brain. He's like, I totally forgot Thor, G.I. Joe, and Iron Fist. He thought we forgot about those 3 books.
I wonder what your top 5 would have been, Brant.
Yeah,
with those.
Absolutely.
I know you said Iron Fist would have been your number 6, but G.I. Joe and Thor, I feel like probably could have been your top.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Joshua. He says Thor is awesome. Yeah, it absolutely is. And then Lee's World of Comics says anything with Hulk is good. So I think I'm enjoying Hulk because the last run was so insane and way out there, especially towards the end of the run, that seeing Hulk and Ryan Otley's artwork in here, I don't know. I just seem to enjoy it. Like, it's almost like a palate cleanser when it comes to the character for me.
I don't know. I mean, I think it was a smart move to go this route. I just hope they explain it a little bit more as it goes along.
Yeah, we'll see what happens if he gets out of this alternate universe.
I also want to thank everyone that's watching. We've been consistently at 41 viewers pretty much all night. So thank you guys. Yep.
And we'll be getting to our main topic very shortly, guys, when it comes to Comixology, and because we're almost done talking about the comic books here. So, all right. So that was our number 2, right? We already talked about that. Okay. So we just talked about Hulk. We won't talk about Knighted. So we'll just jump into our number 1. So I'm hoping your number 1 was Spider-Man.
It was Spider-Man. I really, really like this issue.
Yes. And Brant's wasn't Spider-Man?
No, it was Nightwing, actually. So
really?
Yeah, it was Nightwing.
Brant, you picked Nightwing over your favorite character? Spider-Man? Oh my god!
I could not pick Nightwing over Spider-Man this week. Spider-Man was too good. I was like, whoa, I've been waiting so long for an issue like this. Even though I did enjoy Nightwing more than Mike, it did not compare to Spider-Man.
Like, that's that is. I'm going to blame that on COVID, because it's got Black Cat, it's got Peter Parker coming back as Spider-Man. It's got Mark Bagley, who I know is one of his favorite artists because he's the one that drew New Warriors. Like, there's so many good elements in that book. I know we discussed it already, but wow, I am shocked that he liked Nightwing that much better. So
Brand has a lot of explaining to do. He has this Fantastic Four on his top 5. He has Spider-Man at number 2. We'll have to chit chat with him next week.
Serenity agreed with Brand, said Nightwing was better.
I do think the art was better for Nightwing, but I still love Mark Bagley. It's just a different style. But yeah, I mean, Spider-Man's story though, so consistent, and also it was going somewhere. Like we were talking about, Nightwing doesn't have a plot, so like Spider-Man is like heading towards some awesome arc.
Absolutely. So Nightwing may be a good read, but we're at a standstill. It's at a stall. So.
Yeah, no one's dropping Nightwing, and I'm by far not dropping Nightwing.
I'm not dropping Nightwing either. I'm just disappointed that we're not getting any real story progression.
We do have a super chat here by New Type JB Lee for $5. So, which version of Hulk story is ideal for you guys? 100% back to basics monster action with Kate, or heavy psychological exploration with Ewing? I say always doing something different. That's what I want to see from Hulk. I just want to see a writer do their take on Hulk.
So if I would compare the two, they're totally different, right? Al Ewing's was just something that was very, I felt, original and something different and something very horrific, where Donny Cates just seems very action driven and just lots of, and I don't know, maybe more like you would say that Al Ewing's story was a little bit of a slow burn too, or maybe he purposely did that in the second half.
Yeah, the first half was quick. It was definitely that middle. I mean, if I had to choose, I'm obviously going Ewing, but also it's so hard because you're looking at something that only has like 4. It's hard to compare.
It's hard to compare right now, but each one is different in their own way. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
And thank you for the super chat. Now we are going to go into our main topic. I do want to mention about my Kickstarter first quickly, because we have less than 48 hours for you guys to back the Dancer issue 2. We are so close to 500 backers. We're gaining up there. We're even closer to $10,000. So hopefully you guys can support. For $1, you get 20 indie books. So like, no matter what, you're getting a steal here. But it's about a dancer/assassin. When she was little, she witnessed her parents being murdered in front of her and never dealt with that trauma until now. We have some awesome covers here. So hopefully you guys could go check that out. Now, I'll give a link to that in the chat, but we are going to talk about Comixology. So this is going to be an interesting topic because neither of us, and thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that. Steve is a backer. Really, really appreciate that. So neither of us read our comics digitally most of the time. So we're not as affected by this, but our big topic is going to be, do you think this is going to affect readers in general? Because my biggest worry is if people can't easily get their books in Comixology and buy their books, that people are going to start torrenting even more. Because people are going to still want to read their comics, but they're going to be like, oh, if you're going to make it so hard to buy, I'm not going to buy it. So I'm going to show you what the front page looks like. Neither of us have tried this new Comixology. I don't know if I'm going to do that tonight, but I'm going to show you what the page looks like. So now it's just Amazon. That's what it looks like. And then supposedly a lot of people's books did not convert into this correctly. When you pull up a book, it doesn't actually like allow you to read it. It's just like like if you're buying a regular
like a book on Amazon. That's what it looks like. One thing
that's interesting though, look at this. We have Demons issue 3 is actually free for Prime users. So you can just get that book for free.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting, if I have to say one positive. That's cool. But I think because that's a Comixology original that they could do that. But yeah, so it's just like if you're going to get like a novel or whatever, and they're making it very difficult for people to read. Obviously, like even this, like before you could see like, oh, what were the best-selling books, like very easily. You could see like what new books came out that week a little bit more easily.
But everything is all scattered all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So yes. It's like, it's just like it says books for you. So how do you know what books is for you? Like if you never,
I'm guessing the graphic. I think that actually the graphic novels I bought through Amazon is what they're saying. Because I
Uh-huh.
bought Radiant Black, I bought Mr. Miracle. Like I buy like Christmas gifts through Amazon, so I'll get graphic novels. So I think that's what they're looking at. They're not even looking at my Comixology. They're just looking at what I bought on Amazon.
No, gotcha. So this is not your account, right? You said this is just
Yeah,
the
this isn't mine. So this is like my family Amazon. So this is not my Comixology. So that also kind of f's everything up, right? Because it's like this is even these are not even my books. Like this is a cluster because like I had a Comixology account that has nothing to do with Amazon. That's my account. But like this Amazon account isn't my Amazon account. So it's like it's already screwing things up that you had to combine this.
right. And then it's just like I'm just seeing it's just like it's very misleading on like how do you pay for it and everything else, you know?
Yeah, let's click on something because I was just looking at
Yeah.
featured Comixology originals. So let's look at something that's not a graphic novel. Let's look at Saga issue 56. So you have to pre-order one click, and I'm guessing it will go into your Kindle. So like I buy like
Right.
digital novels usually, so it's similar to that. Yeah, look, your Kindle library. So it's not even going to go into like your Comixology app where you have your library there. So if you are someone who reads novels, it's going to be in your novels section of Kindle. It seems like
Mhm.
it's going to be all mixed in. So that's
Now
stupid.
now what I heard when I read the article is when you actually read the comic display is actually different. There's like
Yeah, they don't
no
do viewfinder.
new go like guided view, and even the two-page view is not right either. Um, and then I tried to use it on my app today,
Mhm.
and it was quite interesting because same thing, it only would give me page layouts. I couldn't figure out how to use like the old guided view where you could press it and it takes you to a panel and then to a next panel and next panel. Like I couldn't figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Now, I felt like I was missing comics even from my app because it showed I only had 21 comics in there. And I can tell you for all the years that I've had Comixology, I have many more comics than that. The only thing that showed in there was I had 21 Black Panther comics in there from when they were giving them away for free.
Yeah,
So,
I had to like at least because sometimes I would like go on vacation, let's say, and I wanted to read my books, but I couldn't go to the stores. I'd just buy it on Comixology and read it through there. Or again, like I was telling this to Mike before we went on. I think it was before we went on, but yeah, no, I would buy stuff from like the back issues. Like if I wanted to buy Dazzler issue 1, let's say, I don't want to go to the comic book store and get it. I'll just get it on Comixology. So the big question is, do you think this is going to affect readership? Do you think this is going to get people to A, not read comics anymore, or B, torrent? Because I really do think it's going to be B, torrent, which I'm very scared of. Because already comics are changing so much. You know, we have the Substack stuff. We have, where Marvel and DC and even Image and everybody else after the Diamond situations figuring out what can they sell, what are they not selling, what does sell. So yeah, the comic book industry is changing every single day, and this is not a good thing, especially because comics seem to be turning a little bit more digitally with the Substack stuff, or at least digital first style. So, are more people going to turn to Substack now because of the Comixology stuff?
I mean, the only thing I can say is that they're hearing all the feedback and all the negativity, and obviously this hurts their business. So I would think that hopefully they would come out to a solution to this problem almost, very quickly because people are otherwise are going to dump them, and people will definitely be pissed off that they lost their entire library or if they can't find it, you know? Yeah,
Or
that's
will there be an alternative? Will there be an alternative site? Maybe there'll be a new indie site, not indie comics, but like a independent site that's not Amazon, a big corporation that says, "Hey, we're doing digital
I
comics."
think it could be created. I think I
Mm.
mean, there's definitely somebody out there that is a comic fan that could create a digital website where it could have everything on there for somebody and do it the right way. You know what I'm saying? There's a way to enjoy comics digitally. You just got to do it the right way. And I felt like if you had this guided view or whatever it was where it went to panel to panel, I thought that was kind of cool. Or if you're on your computer and you want to read it and you got that 2-page layout where it looks like a comic book, I think that's pretty cool too. But most people like to read their stuff on the go, right? So if you have an iPad or a tablet or something like that, it's not as big as a computer, but you can still make it to the fact where it's like reading like a comic book in your hands. I think if you can get it as close to the original as possible, people will buy it. I mean, you're paying the same price as a physical comic, so you got to deliver on that quality, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like you just said, it's the same exact price for a physical. So, I don't know. I think that honestly, I think everyone's freaking out and they're going to fix it because it's like some people said in the comments, this is Amazon's business. They're going to lose not a lot of money compared to what they can do in other places, but they're losing money. They obviously invested in Comixology. They invested in this. So I think they're going to change it. And I hope they utilize Amazon's storefront to make single issues more popular and get people to read on a Wednesday Warrior basis. Because now there's an opportunity for people who do buy a lot of their graphic novels on Amazon to maybe push them to some single issues, which I think helps Amazon, helps the comic book industry in general, if we're trying to look in a positive direction.
Right. What do the commenters say? Let's take some questions.
Some people are confused thinking that we're saying physical is going away. Physical is the only thing not being affected here. Luckily, it's showing that maybe you should get physical books if you have the opportunity, obviously, because I know some people don't have stores close to them, and that's a big issue. But hey, it shows like you can't physical. You're never going to get rid of those. You just always have in your house. Let's see. I don't really see myself ever going digital. I'd rather stop reading current books and focus on back issues. Been buying books since 1977. Physical is all I know. I feel like for me, I rather read physical because it makes it more of an event. When I do read digital, I have the chance to read, copies digitally for a lot of books and not pay any money for comics. But I love supporting the industry and I love reading physical. I love every Wednesday sitting with my pile and getting through it. There's nothing like it. And I'm sorry, that experience is not the same on the computer.
Yeah, I'm going to answer this question and I'll kind of piggyback off of what you said. Figure Drawing says at Comic Book Corner 2.0, do you guys think it's fair that the digital versions are the same price? Now,
it's not fair, but it has to be.
It's not exactly. It's not fair, but it has to, because what happens is if you make it cheaper, then people will go to the digital version. And then what happens is that physical then suffers.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, though. As someone who does Kickstarter and does sell digital cheaper than physical, I won't say there's more people that buy the physical, but it doesn't usually harm my physical sales just because I gave digital for cheaper.
Right.
Some people will read it digitally and be like, oh, I really like that, and then get the physical book, so they buy it twice. I'm not saying that works in the direct market, but in Kickstarter, actually it does.
Right. Yeah. It could be a completely different thing, but if people sit there and they say, oh, I can get my Spider-Man books for 99 cents, they're going to be like, maybe it's worth reading it on the computer, and I don't have to.
Look at us, though. Would you buy it for 99 cents or would you still get a physical, even though it's more expensive? I still think I would get a physical.
If it was, I don't know. I mean, if it was $3, I mean, or $4 or $5 to read it physical and I could read it digital for $1.
If you're breaking Mike, then that means a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of money, because what I would do at that point is I would read modern comics digitally and just buy all back issues and buy keys and all that other stuff. So I could save a lot of money and put that money somewhere else. I could get my books graded. There's so much more I could do with that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a catch-22. I don't see it happening anytime soon. And if it does, it's going to, Vinny is saying here. So what will the industry be like 15 years from now? I don't even know what the freaking industry is going to look like a year from now. Who would have guessed this all would have happened? The Substack stuff, the Comixology thing, a Diamond not being in control of the direct market anymore. It's an absolute crazy. Or even the blockchain stuff with Kickstarter. Like there's so much that has changed in the past year. The next 15 years, I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then going back to what you said earlier, like I love going to the comic shop. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it shows I've done 515 weeks of comic book hauls, right? And I love going to the shop every week, just trying to find like not only the new books, but the old books, the keys, the cheap ass books, like everything about it is just so much fun for me. And now that, my daughter has dance competitions and we get to travel around a little bit, now I'm trying to find other comic shops to go to see what they have. And I love that. And that's what makes the hobby so much fun. And that's something that digital can never replace. It can never replace the the fun that you have at the comic shop, whether it's searching for keys, buying those modern books, talking to comic book shop owners, supporting that small business. That it will never replace that. And once that happens, the hobby will never be the same ever again.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like that you're just talking about your daughter when you go to different comic shops. It's so much fun. Like anytime I visit a place, like I love going to a new comic shop and just saying, "Hey, nice to meet you." Like I love just talking to the owners. I love talking to the people that work there, the people at the store. It's just like it's a community. And obviously I love just going to my comic book shop every week. Like I love talking to my friends, like I love talking to everyone that works there and everyone saying, "Hey Kat, what's up?" Like everyone knows it's Cheers. Everyone knows your
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Like, customers know your name. The people that work there know your name. It's a true community.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been going there for 15 years. So it's like,
Yeah.
they also saw me grow up. I've seen the store grow. I've seen the store move 3 different times. It's like, it's a community.
When I went to the comic book shop in Jacksonville, the Gotham
Mhm.
City limit, um, the comic shop owner messaged me and he said, "Wow, you have quite the reach," because he had at least 5 people come to him that new comic book day and said, "You had Mike Spider Slayer visit your shop? That was super
Wow.
awesome." Yeah. So I thought that
Yeah,
was
that's so
pretty cool.
cool.
And that's
Yeah.
neat.
That is so cool. Yeah, and that's the thing. You can't trade that with digital. We do have a super chat. New type JB Lee says, "Do you feel the indie publisher like Image, Dark Horse, Volt, etc. will be more negatively affected because they don't have unlimited apps?" Yeah, hell yeah. These are going to be the
Absolutely.
ones that are totally affected, and they've been affected so much through all these changes right now. Diamond, everything. I feel bad, but I mean, I'm sure they'll end up figuring it out. But man, yeah, they're going to be most affected out of this
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people they like giving which is interesting. They like giving a try of indie books digitally more than when they go to the store. Like, oh, I'll get my Marvel, I'll get my DC. It's like, oh, I'll try out that new Vault book digitally because I don't know if I'll like it or not. So, yeah.
I mean, this is just another bump in the road, especially since, obviously, like you talked about, like Diamond and all those other people switching off and on, and just with the COVID and all this other crazy stuff. So, yeah, they're definitely going to suffer for sure. Especially like Dark Horse, it's just like that's what they rely on for their digital sales, is they rely on that. And I tell you though, if people can't find their books that they're missing, that's going to be a big deal because they paid money for those books and now they're gone. And that
Hmm.
is an issue of why, one of the reasons why I never like digital, because something like this happens. And then all of a sudden, all that money that you spent on their digital library disappears. And then you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, again, I don't mind doing it for the random book where I'm like, oh, do I want to get this physically? Like, because I don't really want it in my collection if I don't get a lot of it. So, like, I just want to try it out. Sometimes I'll do that. But yeah, like, let's say Paper Girls. I love Paper Girls. If I only got that digitally, now it's all gone. It's like, man,
Yeah.
feels like a waste.
Yeah,
I'm glad I got
absolutely.
them physically.
Yeah.
We do have a comment by Failed Inventions. It costs about $3 for a creator to print 24-page comic before profit if it's printed on demand. Luckily, I've been able to get a cheaper price than 3. But it's usually between $1.50 to $3 for sure. That's the price you're going to see for a 24-page book. Just to give a little insight on that side of things. Let's see. We have a couple more comments here. Philosopher King says, "Do you think this will lead to smaller publishers launching their own digital app platforms?" I don't think they can. I don't think they have a big enough audience to warrant all that work and money.
Just like think about it. Like think about how much money it would cost to create, run the app, and
how about if it fails and no one joins it? You know?
Yeah, and then when you look at the amount of some of these independent comics sell, they don't sell 80,000 comics of sometimes DC and Marvel comics. You look out indie publishers, they sell like 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, right? So
that's really good numbers for indie comics, is that?
Yeah.
I will say one thing, like on my level of indie books, and I'm sure maybe a Vault or Image can do, is run on their site and sell PDFs of their digital books. So instead of running like a unlimited app, they could sell digital books through their website.
That's a good idea.
I could see something like that happening.
That could work. That could definitely work.
And then they get direct money because Comixology obviously takes a cut. So if you sell, this is why I mean, I've had Comixology books on there and never was worth it to me. I'd rather just do it through Kickstarter or do it through a site because I make more money that way. No one's taking a cut. Literally, I make full profit because I don't have to print anything in that regard. I make all $3 that I sell that book for, or all $5 I sell that book for, because I'm selling it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Comixology. That's it for you, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get their shit together and they fix it. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of unhappy people. There's going to be people dropping it left and right. And there's going to be someone out there that, like I said, that's a comic fan, that's smart, that's going to develop something. And you know what? Hopefully they do. I would love to see somebody else take out Amazon and not, I mean, Amazon owns everything. So it's like, I would love to see it just to see him do it better than Amazon did, because they screwed it up.
Maybe they do the PDF thing too. Maybe they don't just do it for Image or, Vault. Maybe they're not the individuals. Maybe there's just this website that's like, hey, you own your physical book. It's in your drive now. That's cool, because then you actually have ownership of a digital book. I think that's a better route to go. Yeah. All right, let's get into our news here. So first up, we have Knuckles getting his own TV show and Sonic 3 in the works. So Sonic 2 has not come out. We don't know if Knuckles is a home run, but Knuckles is getting a TV show.
I guess there's people, I guess the buzz is big on this next Sonic movie, to the point where they're like, all right, we got a story to tell. We're going to tell it no matter what happens. This movie is going to be a smash hit. People are going to want to see.
Number 1 was great.
Yeah, they're going to want to see Tails. They're going to want to see Knuckles. It looks awesome. I feel like this one's probably going to be better than the first one. So they're probably smart releasing a third one. And you know what? Why not release a show?
Yeah, and something I actually wanted to talk about was Peacemaker is a great example of that. So Peacemaker was announced before Suicide Squad came out. And everyone's like, who the hell wants a Peacemaker show? And now it's renewed for season 2. And honestly, I think it's one of my favorite DC shows. It is so solid. It is just a character-driven show. You would never think John Cena could do the emotional beats that he does in this show, but it's so fun and good. I very much recommend it. At least watch the theme song. And I'm so happy as a season 2, but it's a great example of they announced this show early before the movie even came out, and it worked out. So sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, but I have a feeling Knuckles will do just fine.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to Star Trek 4 is happening. So after all these years, the cast is coming back and they're doing another Star Trek.
Yep, I'm passing.
Yeah, no, I don't think I saw the third one. So.
I don't think I saw any of them. I didn't see any of the new Star Trek movies. Like, I've never been a Star Trek person, and so I saw the previews of the new ones. I was like, it looks kind of cool, but at the end of the day, I never went to go see them, and I feel like I don't care about the newest one. Like, I didn't think they should have another one after they did the 3, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I have a friend who really likes Star Trek, so that's the only way I think I'll end up seeing Star Trek 4, but I personally don't want to see Star Trek 4. Now speaking of not Star Trek, Stranger Things gets renewed for a final season, and I just thought that this upcoming season was going to be the final. So that's why I was like, oh, season 4 is not the final.
Before I answer that question, question is, well, I really want to ask you both, what are your thoughts on the DC Comics Dinosaur Justice League series coming out over the summer?
Crazy.
I'm laughing. I definitely am curious to see what that book is. Daniel Warren Johnson is the writer of it, or maybe the artist. I don't know, but
maybe both. I don't.
It could be fun. It could be fun. It could be the best thing that DC has come out with in quite a while. So you never know,
think
right?
I'm gonna try it. I don't think I'm gonna try it.
I
don't think I need to see them as
wait.
dinosaurs.
It's gonna be the best book ever.
If you say, Kat, this is the best book ever, it's a 5-star book for me, I'll read it. But it's not gonna be the thing I get on Wednesday.
I'll be like, oh, gonna say that, so you can buy it now.
And then no. I don't want it. I'll flip through it first. I'll be like, oh man, this doesn't look exciting. Yeah, I don't know about that one by any means. All right, but Stranger Things, what do you think?
So what I heard is Stranger Things season is actually going to be longer as well.
They're splitting this one in half. I think they're splitting this upcoming one in, you have A and B. So what's interesting, this is a whole different topic, but also like some of these binge shows are now, Peacemaker did well. These Euphoria is doing really well. A lot of them are just doing single episodes because like the Marvel format. Like Mrs. Maisel was a binge show and they're releasing it like episode by episode now. So now I'm curious, is Stranger Things trying to like split it up a little bit more because of that?
Well, they made more episodes for a season. So,
but do you think they're going to break it up though? Do you think they're going to actually like try doing some episodic stuff?
Maybe. I don't know, but we know there's a season 5 and then after that it's over. And I know they really had time to tell the story in full because of COVID and everything else. And it made sense to shoot everything too, because these kids are getting older, you know what I'm saying? So, it made sense, but I never liked the binge aspect because
me either. There's no conversation.
Right. You have a conversation for one weekend and then you don't talk about it again for another year or two. Right. So way that Disney Plus is like, we're just going to do it traditionally and look at how long all these shows are discussed, like WandaVision and Loki, and they're a conversation each and every week, and it gives you something to look forward to in the next episode. You can digest it, you can understand it better, you can rewatch the episode if you want to in case you missed something, and you don't have this pressure to be like, I need to binge watch the entire season to not get spoiled or have the conversation right now.
But you have the choice to binge watch if you want. Like, that's the best thing. Because it's like on a platform where it's like, oh, if you are a binge watcher, you can still do that. But at least, like you said, it doesn't feel like you're forcing to digest all this in one night. And I like just having the conversation. I like watching the one episode and be like, oh, now I could tweet something about it and like talk about that one little fun thing. And I think that's why I really enjoyed watching Peacemaker, because I did watch it weekly. And I just had such a fun time just like discussing it and just watching it. And I don't think that show would have been as highly recommended by so many people if it wasn't for the weekly format. I think people would have forgotten it so quickly, but because we had a couple of weeks to discuss it, it just grew as a show. So yeah, I'm glad they're going that route. And I think Netflix is going to be starting to go that route a little bit more often. It was crazy that Amazon Prime did it for Mrs. Maisel. I was surprised only because it was a binge show first. So that's the only way I'm like, oh, people are used to binging it. I actually don't know if that was the right decision.
Right. I mean, I remember Invincible came out like every week too. Mm-hmm. They released the first couple episodes, and then every week it was a new episode. So I don't know. It gives me something to look forward to. You know, it's like New Comic Book Wednesday, right? You get so hyped up and pumped up for the next comic book week, and then it's like same thing. Like I would get excited for the show, like. Me and Braden, my son, we would sit there and go, oh man, I can't wait for the new Hawkeye to come out. Can't wait to watch it. Or we were like that with WandaVision and shit like that. And then, we wound up watching Cobra Kai, the new season, and we finished it in 2 days. And then we're like,
Yeah.
well, that's done. We have to wait now a whole other freaking year to watch it again,
And no one's really talking about it. Like people, Cobra Kai is like kind of an exception because people binge it not right when it comes out, and like they'll talk about it then. But like for people that just binge it, they'll talk about that 1 second and then they're like, I watched it already.
And I felt like we waited forever for that season. We were freaking all hyped about it. Now it's done.
Yeah, no, I agree. I hope and I know we're stepping away from that model. So Parker Luck says, since you're talking about Stranger Things series, can I get your thoughts on the comics, or do you know of them? I know, Mike, you read like one of them. I think I read one of them. It wasn't like the show.
And then I came to the realization, like, I'm just gonna have Stranger Things on my TV. That's all I want. I didn't want it as my comics. I just want to separate that from comics and TV. Like, I like TV to just, I don't even like I don't do too many talks on YouTube with TV. I like to keep that separate and just
it's your break. It's your actual, because your hobby has kind of become your job because it's your YouTube stuff. So it's like, you don't want to, that's why for the longest time, I just stopped watching comic shows, like unless I've loved it, because I was like, man, I can't anymore. It's too much my job. I want to just enjoy TV when I watch it. Now I found a balance where I'm like, okay, I can still enjoy it for myself and somewhat utilize it for my job, because, you got to talk about stuff on social media and like work those analytics. So you got to talk about stuff that are relevant. But I think it's a balancing act for sure. All right, let's get into some comic news. We do have Wolverine's co-creator returns to the character for X-Men Legends, already relaunching. That book, I feel like, just came out, and now it's relaunching.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they got a story to tell with Wolverine. So that's cool. I mean, I'll probably check it out. I'm sure a lot of Wolverine fans will check it out as well. And yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say about it. Again, it's just going back to those old school comics, like in that old school storytelling. Like, if you don't like a lot of the current modern day Marvel stuff that they're doing, buy all this classic storytelling that they're doing.
Yeah. This is not classic, but they're doing some experimenting here. Miles Morales is being mashed up with different characters, and now he's being mashed up with Hulk. I'm interested in this, and I don't really even know why. They're doing it with Spider-Gwen too.
It looks so bad. The picture. Do you have a
picture? You gotta try it though. I did. Oh, let's show it though. Yeah, let's show the picture here. You know what? I'm ready to hopefully enjoy a Miles Morales story.
Why does it gonna be him as Hulk? Like, it's like Spider Hulk. Come on, that looks horrible.
I'm ready to try it. I'm ready.
That looks bad.
What if Miles Morales became Hulk?
It's like Amadeus Cho almost. That's
what they do look a little similar there. I like the top picture more than the cover. I think he looks.
I don't like the top picture either.
You don't like the top picture?
No.
I'm interested to see. Oh, here we go. There he is. Kind of looks like Colossus.
Yeah, he does. What's that suit? Like, where does he get that suit from? Oh, you have to buy it because it's a first appearance, so you have to buy it, of course.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna try them all out, because again, also I'm not reading anything Miles Morales, and I missed the boy. I wanna enjoy something. And I hope this What If is just fun enough.
Figure drawing goes. That looks oof. And then Mr. Shark
figure drawing
says, "I'm with Mike. It's bad."
Who is writing that? I don't even know who's writing that book. And is it like different people that's writing each issue? Let's see. Let's see if they have who. Anthony Piper. I don't know who the writer is, and Edgar Salazar. So I'm not familiar with the writer. So we'll see how it turns out. But moving on, Iron Man, speaking of recycling stories, is going through addiction again. Honestly, like, they were doing that arc when we were still reading Iron Man, because they had the heroin thing going on. So I'm surprised it's taking them months to deal with it.
That's why he's checking in, because of the heroin addiction. So
But it's taking that long to tell that story? It's been months.
This story is way drawn out. Like, I can't believe this is still going on. So if you guys did not read any of the Iron Man, Kat and I did, Green Colossus. That's funny. Tony got severely injured in this battle, right? And he somehow is permanently wearing his suit. And to fight the pain, he was forced to take heroin. And now he got addicted to this heroin. So it looks like he's just going to have to check into rehab. Like, what are they going to do? Make an issue of him going to rehab and going, "Hi, my name is Tony Stark. I have a heroin addiction problem."
You know, I think in principle that's a great story. Like, I think it's great to show an addiction story, but also I don't know. I don't like the build of it thus far. I hope they do a great job. The last addiction story I thought they did well was Civil War 2 with Carol and Iron Man like going to their meetings.
Different though. Like he was forced.
Yeah,
he had no choice, right? And the other stories, he actually had like a real physical problem. You know what I'm saying? And so it like made sense. Here, like I get he's checking in because he was forced to take this heroin, but it was just like I don't feel like that makes as an interesting story to me.
It's heroin, not opioids. I feel like an opioid story would have a more interesting angle. I mean, I think either way could be interesting, but I think with the track record of what we've been seeing from Iron Man, it's probably not going to be as emotionally driven as it could be to make it great.
Yeah, the story's been. We read a lot of it.
We read like I think over 10 issues.
Yeah, easily, and the story progression of this is just like obviously he's still fighting Korvac. So what happens is this it when he's done with Korvac, or is he continuing this run?
I'm sure. Oh, I don't know. I don't think there's an end to it yet, and there hasn't been an announcement that he's leaving. So it's been a while. It's been a while for that arc. Going into more Marvel news, Miles Morales is introducing. I'm going to also screen share this. Is introducing a new character called the Spider Smasher. It was actually almost our title, but we went with the Comixology one. So here he is. Who is Spider Smasher? Or are they friend or foe? It's so interesting because like I feel like comic fans are never going to be happy, and we're never going to be happy either. We're talking about Marvel saying, they recycle stories. And now it's like, this new character, why should I care about them? But honestly, why should I care about Spider Smasher? I don't know.
But like, who is he though? Like, I'm very curious. Like, he looks pretty cool.
You're going to read Miles again for this? Huh? You're going to read Miles Morales again for this character?
For that, yes. I will read that. You know, again, it's another first appearance. So if anything you get out of it is you'll get a kick-ass cover, you'll get a first appearance. So if the character does have legs, it'll take off. And then since Miles is so popular in the possible movies going forward into the future, you never know if this character could show up in the movie. So this could be a big character. You never know, but I'll read Miles just for the Spider Smasher.
I've been burned too many times. I'm good.
But you're gonna read freaking What If Miles Was the Hulk?
Yeah, because at least it's a different writer, so there's a chance. It could be.
There's a
different.
chance.
There's a chance because if it's the same, I've been burned by this run in particular. If it was a different run, I'd be like, it's a new view of this character. But it's been the same run for like 2 years now, and we've tried 3 or 4 times for this book. You've tried more than me. I tried for the clone one. I think I tried for when the Green Goblin returned, and then obviously I tried it when it came out. Those are the 3 times I tried it. I didn't like either of those. So I'm like, I think I'm okay. I'm okay for now. All right, let's get into the next thing, which is Last Ronin style Transformers will be the last Transformers book for IDW. Do you think this is a good goodbye?
Yeah, why not? I mean, yeah, they're trying to, copy a little bit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the last Transformer. The last Transformers on a planet. It's a good send-off. I'm curious to see what that story would have to offer there. Like I said, last one for IDW. I'll check it out because you don't know when the next one is going to be. And I have a feeling this one can't have a ton of dialogue like all the other Transformers books do, because there's only one freaking robot on the planet. So this one could be
Talking to
good.
himself. It could be like
Yeah.
so much dialogue of him just talking to himself somehow.
It could be cool. You get to see how these of the Autobots and the Decepticons fell. So I'll definitely be checking this one out.
So we got a question here. Mike, with you loving Spider-Man as much as you do you like Marvel Universe 2 Cosmic Line that has his daughter Mayday, Spider-Girl, and what do you like about her for most or least? Hey, you take it, Mike. You take the Spider-Girl question. I'm curious.
So this is Kat's favorite character next to Kitty Pryde. So I do like that universe. I'm not heavily invested like Kat is in the character, but I think she definitely has a potential to be in this Marvel universe. Why she's not in the Marvel universe currently, who knows? Like, it just boggles my mind how they
It's the
have certain.
marriage, though. It's the
Huh?
marriage. That's why. It's the marriage. It's the
Yeah.
idea that something's there that they don't want that anymore. So anything that's connected to the
Yeah.
marriage, they're not going to have.
I mean, it was an alternate universe, right? And I really enjoyed the issues that I did read from Mayday. I think she's a great character, and I think this is a character that could continue going forward. It is tough to bring her back because, like Kat said, she's the daughter of Peter Parker and Mary Jane. So how weird would it be if she came from that different Earth into the main 616 universe,
And I
right?
think what makes her character, at least for me, is her universe. It's her supporting characters. It's the Avengers. It's her high school. That's what made her fun and
Yeah.
unique. I think the reason she works is that she is Mary Jane and Peter's daughter. And then what I mean that by that is like literally she has the personality of both. Like she was a popular high school girl. She was very different from Peter in high school, but then also has the responsibility of her father. So yeah, no, I could talk all day about why Mayday is a great character, but I could also talk all day about why Marvel, I don't think, unless it's like, you know, a Spider-Verse situation, or maybe she'll team up with Spider-Gwen one day. I don't see her having her own series anytime soon, unless she shows up in one of these movies. If she shows up into the Spider-Verse, or she shows up in the live action movies, that's the only way she's going to return into
But
the
see,
Marvel universe.
she was so great because she had her universe.
Yes.
That's why Miles was so great, because he had his universe also. And you can see that the character suffers a bit, maybe because the writer doesn't know how to write Miles, but you can see that the character suffers being in this universe. And I think Mayday could as well.
I think we already saw it when she was in Spider-Verse. She wasn't the same character. Obviously, it was written by, but also Tom DeFalco. She was one of those characters that literally just wasn't written by anybody else. Like Tom DeFalco wrote her for 130 issues.
Well, Michael Bendis wrote Miles too, same way.
Exactly. So yeah, it's I think that's also a big difference, is that was the first time a new writer had taken over Spider-Girl. She wasn't in her own universe. Her dad had died. So it was a very different story than what we're used to. Because one thing I love about May is that every spider hero has grief. I mean, that's literally what, if you watch Spider-Verse, the movie, that's what it's about. Like, everyone has grief. And for Mayday, she never had to grieve to be Spider-Girl. She just knew responsibility was right. So, not that she didn't go through hardships, but her dad didn't die until after. But in the MC2, like she kind of had a happy life. All right, let's get into the next topic here, which is Ghostmaker becomes Batman Inc.'s new boss, which I really don't like Ghostmaker. So I feel like now I'm less interested in Batman Inc.
So is he like betraying Batman then?
I guess it depends on how this arc ends. Maybe they end up being friends in the end, because right now, yeah, they are on different sides.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. This is something you have to find out when you read the story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying Batman. I think that Joshua Williamson brought new life to the book, so I've been enjoying it.
I got another question here. It says, how do you feel about Amazing Spider-Man getting a new #1?
The Way of the Land.
I personally used to get bent out of shape with the new volumes of comic book characters, right? Especially like Spider-Man or Hulk or even Batman or whatever the case may be, when they didn't do legacy numbering, right? But now that you have the legacy numbering on your comic books under that new number one, it doesn't bother me anymore because it still shows me how many issues of the Amazing Spider-Man that they came up with. So it tackles that. And then it also helps new readers, I feel, of having a decent jumping on point for them. Now, where to start is a whole different story, which volume and whatnot, because we have so many different volumes. So can't
But
help
in
you
this
there.
regard, it's a new creative team, so it doesn't matter. It is a new jumping on point. Like, I hate when it's like I don't like when they renumber when it's literally the same creative team. It's like, why do you have to renumber? It's the same book. But I like it when they do it when it's a new creative team, because then it, like you said, it's an actual jumping on point and it's a new start.
Right. It does make it hard for people to be like, I want to go to the store and read a trade of the Amazing Spider-Man, right? So then you got the Amazing Spider-Man this, and you got the Amazing Spider-Man that, this, that, and it makes it hard. So unless you go into it going, I just want to read an Amazing Spider-Man story, it doesn't matter where it takes place in any type of continuity, then you're fine, right? But if you're one of those people that's like, I want to start from the very beginning, well, don't go to those trades. You probably have to read omnibuses or something like that, or epic.
Yeah, I feel like you would have to look up which one you actually wanted to read, because that's the only way. It's like, oh, do you want to read all of Dan Slott's run? Do you want to read all of Nick Spencer's run? But that's so hard for a new reader because they don't know who Dan Slott is, and they don't know who Nick Spencer is and what that entails. So yeah, it's definitely very difficult. But then that's hope, that's why you hope that they pick up the issue ones and they fall in love and be like, oh, I really like this specifically in this issue. And then they could go back to what they liked specifically and they could learn about it, just like we all had to do back in the day.
Absolutely.
Going into more DC news, Aquaman's getting a horror Black Label book, I believe. Let me see who's writing it. I feel like it's Ram V. Ram V is writing it. I mean, it's not Batman, so I'm happy about that. I don't know if I'm gonna get it though, because I don't know if I care about Aquaman enough to get a Black Label book, right?
Hard pass.
But you don't want to. But it's so hard to say a hard pass because they're doing what we're axing, and then we don't pick it up.
It's still Aquaman, and I don't know. I don't need it. Plus, it's probably oversized. I'm actually
those magazine books.
Very surprised that I picked up Swamp Thing from Black Label, but the only reason why I did was because of Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, same.
And that would be the only reason why it would be the writer that I truly enjoy. And Ram V's not a bad writer. He's a good writer, but he's not personally a favorite of mine, right?
I don't think there's been any run that you're like, oh, Ram V's run. And same here.
I heard, didn't he write Catwoman? I thought he did that.
He did.
Yeah,
he's doing that now, or maybe someone
he's done with
now.
it.
Yeah,
and I heard good things about it, So, but it's Aquaman though.
I'm trying Aquaman, and that's mostly because of Jackson. I like Jackson Hyde. And I like the idea of making a family book, so I'm going to try that out. But yeah, I don't need a Black Label Aquaman. Just the main series is enough for me on that regard. But again, kudos to DC for doing something different. Last thing, speaking of DC Comics, Titans Academy has been canceled. And supposedly today it's been revealed to Red X's. So guys been waiting and anticipating. They finally revealed who it was.
Suicide Squad's getting canceled too.
Yes, and it's the same writer, I believe. It's a shame because Titans, we were excited for that book. We're like, "Ooh, it's gonna be so good!" And then I dropped it after issue 1. And I think you guys gave it like 2 or 3 more issues.
I gave it quite a few issues, right?
Yeah, you did.
I went through the whole crossover with Suicide Squad because I was like, "Oh, who's Red X? Right? Is that his name, Red X?" And I'm like, "Who is this guy?" Like, I wanted to know, and the book never went anywhere. Like, I was like, what are we doing with this book? Like, what's the purpose of it? It's just like, you got all the Titans there, whether it's the new Teen Titans, the old Teen Titans, you got the Titans, it just didn't work. And it seemed like it was like a Strange Academy ripoff, and it was like, and it just didn't go anywhere. And here you got Strange Academy getting ready to, take a break and go into season 2 or semester 2, and then this one, now you're getting canceled. So it shows you the difference.
And same for Suicide Squad. I think it's such a shame because now they kind of introduced Peacemaker too soon, because now people are like interested in Peacemaker because of the show, and they're like, oh, where do I find Peacemaker? And it was already too late. They already released the issue where he was there, but also he wasn't even that great from what I read in those issues. I'm like, oh, this is nothing like the show.
I'm hoping that whenever this Dark Crisis ends, like, I know they say it's not going to be a reboot, but you can't reboot anything when you don't have any freaking titles. So hopefully they will release a lot more titles with different characters. That would be their perfect opportunity to do that.
No, I hope so too. I really, really do hope so, because as you can see, they're a little bit in a rut when it comes to those. You got your Nightwings, and then you got your Batmans, and that's about it right now. I mean, I'm hoping like books like Wonder Woman. You have the Trials of the Amazons coming up really soon. I think it's next month. I'm like, oh, hopefully this rejuvenates. But how many times have we tried Wonder Woman, and then the one Wonder Woman book we all liked gets canceled?
The Wonder Girl one. And then we had, what Wonder Woman book we liked was Meredith Finch's Wonder Woman.
Yeah. That was how many years ago now?
Oh, I know. And then that's when she, she did it with David Finch, and and we had them actually on this show, and we talked with them, and it was crazy, man. And I really enjoyed it. I can honestly tell you, I enjoyed that Wonder Woman run that she did. I thought it was really well done.
I think it's definitely one of my favorites in recent years. Like, I'm trying to think of one that I really wanted Mariko's to be stronger than it was, because it started out so good, and then it kind of lost its legs.
Yeah, it did. Definitely did.
And that was a shame. But that's all the news. So we're going to go into most anticipated books for this week. So, Mike, if you want to get started with actually, let me read Brant's really quickly.
Yeah.
So his number 3 was Strange Academy issue 16. His number 2 is Robin issue 11. And his number 1 was Supermassive issue 1. I'm hoping Robin goes back on track, because these last couple of issues were a little bit too explainy.
Someone messaged me and told me that this was kind of just like a lull, and they said that the story is going to really pick up coming up here soon.
I'm not surprised, because they have that crossover coming up, so they're probably just like stalling a little bit, which I don't mind, because I really do like this book. And also, Williamson's doing 20 million things. Like, I understand why there's 1 or 2 issues that are stalling. They're really relying on Tom Taylor and Joshua Williamson to do most of their books right now.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I'll give you my top 3. My number 3 is Saga issue 56. Issue 56, issue 2. I don't know why I put issue 56.
No, it is. It's issue 56.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is issue 56. Second issue of this new story arc. Maybe there we go. Then we got Dark Ages issue 5. So we're
That's been on a lull, I feel like that slowed down.
It did, because they wound up going from the good guy side, and they traveled to the bad guy side, and they were in the water in the last issue, and you had the Ghost Riders attack Nick Fury, and so now they have to get to Apocalypse's land. So I think things are going to pick up now in this issue, and supposedly I think we're going to get a Miles Morales symbiote. So I think that's
okay. Something good for Miles. Let's hope.
Yeah. I think that's who it is. And then my number 1 is actually Gunslinger Spawn issue 5. I've just been enjoying the hell out of this book. Best Spawn book that's out there right now.
And there's a lot.
Brett Booth's artwork. I know you're not a fan of his artwork, but it takes this book to a whole other level for me. And this Gunslinger is a much more relatable character, because he's misplaced in time, where he's lived in the 1800s and now he's in the 21st century, and he's got to try to adapt and everything, which I think is pretty cool. And then you got reintroduced to a villain by the name of Violator, or the Clown. I'm not sure if you know who he is, Kat, but
No.
he got back into the book as well. And Mr. Shark made a good point here. The book is $3, just
So
like
is Saga.
Saga.
So is
So
Saga. Yeah.
2 books out of my top 3 are $3, and I'm gonna support that shit all day long.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. My top 3 here. Number 3 is Miss Marvel Beyond the Limit, just because it's Miss Marvel and I want it to be great. I liked last issue. I don't love the book yet, but I just like having that on my pull list. So that's my number 3. Number 2 is Saga issue 56. So we already talked about it. Last issue was great and such a good return. I'm so happy to get Brian K. Vaughan monthly. Then my number 1, Supermassive issue 1. It's the Radiant Black crossover and introducing all these new characters, and Radiant Black has been so good. It's literally one of the best books on stands. Take away Marvel, DC, it doesn't matter what company you're getting. Radiant Black is one of the best superhero books on stands right now.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge Ryan Parrott fan. So he's getting his new character showing up here too. I'm just so excited. Yeah, Rogue Sun. I'm so excited for Rogue Sun. So yeah, I'm stoked for Supermassive.
Yeah, and this is Image's superhero line. So if you're like,
it's a new Invincible.
Yeah, it's like if you are tired of the big 2 superhero, well, now you got your Image ones, and I think this
they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, perfect jumping on point. They can do whatever they want. They can pretty much say whatever they want. I think this is super awesome. I'm really looking forward to that book as well.
If you feel like anything from Marvel and DC has been stale, this is the book to read, because nothing about this book is stale. And nothing about this, it's so familiar to superheroes and stuff you've read before, but it's so different at the same time. It really is the Invincible of this decade.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed, like, again, you can tell the amount of work that's being put into that Radiant Black series by really slowly introducing you to all those characters. And so it's really building up those characters.
Radiant Pink?
Yeah.
She's so cool.
Yeah. So when this universe actually happens, you know who these characters are and you're going to care about them. And if something happens to them, you're going to feel for them. It's just, I'll always go back to this because Walking Dead was so good at that character development, And I feel like this is going to be that type of book, just like Invincible. Like, you cared about Adam Eve, you cared about Mark, you cared about all those characters in that book. And so I think this is going to be great, man.
For sure. So those are our most anticipated. So I'm going to pass the baton to Mike to close up the show.
Yes, guys. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I had a great show tonight. I'm sure Kat did as well.
Yeah.
We did miss Brant, but we had a great audience tonight, and your participation, guys, is priceless. So hopefully next week you'll join us again for another episode, and hopefully all 3 of us will be on here. So guys, again, before you leave, please give this stream a like so people know that it does exist out there. And of course, guys, don't forget to subscribe to both channels, Comic Book Weekly and Comic Book Corner 2.0. Again, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss the notification about the show. Follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And guys, until next week, this is The Final Wave. Thank you so much, and we'll see you real soon. And happy new comic book day.